Hi guys, I'm back again today with a continuation of our Power Ranger Beast Morphers History of Power Rangers episode 3 or part 3. So we're going to continue from where we left off, and we left off at around 50. We left off at about 50 minutes. So let's continue from there. Let's get it.
It's out, thanks to some clips from the season, that Korag was actually Lianbo, a good guy, so that plan is dumb. Her suggestion? Astronema! Yeah, that gets shot down pretty quickly. The episode is actually kind of a clever stealth clip show. The villains in this case watching footage of old seasons to get ideas for who to resurrect. And shock of all shocks, they used my idea of watching footage from non-widescreen seasons on a monitor to hide that detail. Scrazzle brings up Lord Zed since they do have his staff. God, with our luck they'd bring back Thrax. Annoyingly though, his footage is dubbed over. In fact, that's the case for most of the footage shown. According to Kyle Higgins, the writer of a good chunk of the critically acclaimed Boom Studios Power Rangers comics, including Shattered Grid, when he made a short promoting the comic and tried to use audio from the original show, it seems that the masters didn't have an isolated dialogue-only track, so if the producers of Beast Morphers did have masters to use, they would require dubbing to remove the music, or at least extensive amount of work for a few lines. And even more tragically, Robert Axelrod had passed away in 2019, so even if they did bring Zed back, he wouldn't be able to voice the character again. Still, the logic in-universe for not bringing him back is pretty good. He'd betray Evox immediately. Then again, so would most of the villains. Also, he technically turned good too, thanks to the Z-Wave. They do the same dubbing for Rita, and man, at least they tried to get someone who sounded like Zed. The person they got to do the voice for Rita is Susan Brady, who did the Mystic Mother in Mystic Force, aka Good Rita, which is a neat detail, but she sounds nothing like Rita in either appearance, so there you go. It goes on like that for the villains. Stock footage, bad dubbing, Sledge's crew, including Poisandra, are destroyed by the Rangers, and Evox finally makes a decision on who to resurrect and enhance.
I have returned!
So, Kerrigan Mine wasn't available to return to the voice, huh? That's a shame. Or maybe it was a union thing. Who the hell knows with Power Rangers at this point? When Sledge is unimpressed by Goldar, Evox tells Goldar to destroy him, which he does so. Really dumb move on Evox's part, since Sledge is still hella strong, and they broke the reanimation device making the enhanced Goldar. This leads us into our next crossover episode, Grid Connection. Keeper returns.
I've come to warn you that I've had a vision.
You have those? Is that normal for your species?
Oh.
I feel like psychic premonitions would have been really helpful in your season.
If you saw my
Anyway,
face, I
the
was
Vision
like,
saw the team defeated.
concerned.
He couldn't tell which Rangers were involved in the battle.
But I saw you, Devon. You were hit by a meteor.
Nothing more disappointing than discovering that you meet your ultimate end because of a rock. Devon is skeptical of the Vision and heads off to participate in a video game tournament, but he and Cruz get lost
Does
on
he
the
have to wear
way.
a
And
cheetah
then a meteor hits
shirt?
Devon. Score one for E.T. Back at HQ, they receive a distress call from the Dino Charge Rangers, who are under attack by Vivax. He opens up a dimensional portal for the Beast Morphers to come help, and indeed, it's Evox's forces led by Goldar and Snide going after the Energems.
Now I, Goldar Maximus, have the blue Energem!
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Goldar Maximus. It makes a huge difference. As Devon returns to HQ, apparently none the worse for wear for getting hit by a friggin' meteor, they get a distress call from the other Rangers saying their morphers have been destroyed. He wants to go help, but as Shaw points out, one more Ranger isn't going to make a difference. Remembering what Keeper said about the morphing grid connecting all Rangers together, Devon elects to head into the energy flow of the grid and send out a distress call through it. Get any Rangers who are willing to come to the aid of his team and the Dino Charge Rangers. Normally, the energy would kill him if he walked directly into it, but the meteor that hit him is made of a special material that can repel energy. I guess when the series says, may the power protect you, what they really mean is, may this random meteor protect you because the morphin grid will frickin' tear you apart. The call goes out, but most amazingly, the meteor collapses, revealing the Tyrannosaurus coin. And what a coinkydink for who steps through a dimensional portal next. Yep, Jason is back yet again.
I know,
and
right?
I guess we just kind of forgot that he had his powers again in Forever Red. Or maybe they got busted again. It's been a few
He's
years
gonna
after
be
all.
there
Back on the Dino
forever
Charge Earth, the
in
villains are
Power
trying to
Rangers.
create dinosaur Zords based off of information Keeper gave them under mind control. Jason and Devin arrived to help the others. Only Riley and Shelby still having their powers and remaining morphed because... well, there's some speculation there. While the two came back to do voiceover for the characters, some have argued, based off of deleted tweets, that they actually hated their time on the show. It could also be a union thing, like with voice actors, and it could also just very well be their actors were busy and didn't want to fly out to New Zealand for filming. Any of them is really a possibility. The idea of working on Power Rangers might be a dream to some, but the actual realities of filming can be awful. Devin brings new morphers for his team, as well as dino chargers filled with morphex to allow the Dino Charge Rangers to morph without the energems. They split up, with the Dino Rangers going to attack the villains directly, while the others ambush from behind.
So you're Goldar Maximus, huh? I hope you're a lot tougher than the last one we defeated.
I mean, technically you guys never defeated him. He was turned to dust by the Z-Wave. Goldar thinks they'll be fine since he has an army on his side, but Jason reveals that he wasn't the only one who answered Devin's call. And I guess we'll just pretend the other Mighty Morphin Rangers have Master Morphers or something.
Rangers forever! Defenders together!
I think this is the first time since Overdrive we've had multicolored explosions behind the team up.
That is
Even Dimensions in Danger only had a
multicolored.
regular explosion.
Yeah.
And this only is happening because it's Sentai footage. While an awesome fight scene ensues there that results in Snide destroyed, the Beast Morphers run into Evox and Scrozzle as they complete their Zord, referring to it as the Chimera Zord.
coconut.
Goldar gets
It's a
destroyed
rock.
by a
Well,
big-ass gun
looks like a
combined from the
coconut
three
inside.
dinosaur teams' individual weapons. However, the Chimera Zord is launched, and it's... whatever the hell this thing is.
Man, I thought Serpentera was bad, but that Zord has 6 heads!
Damn, we're in a tight spot.
The three teams summon their Megazords. Again, not
I
sure how the
can't
original
laugh.
Megazord is
My
here,
body
but hey,
hurts.
Tommy fixed the Falcon Zord last season. Then again, that Zord was technically never destroyed, just the power coins were. And I suppose that if the Zords were tied to the power coins, then the original Megazord could come back too. Devin summons the Beast X King Zord, and it's able to combine with the Dino Charge Megazord. So all the teams present are able to blast the Chimera Zord to hell. Everyone says their farewells.
Today, tomorrow, or decades from now, there will always be Rangers like you.
Grid Connection is another odd duck, to be sure. It's basically part 2 of Finders Keepers, even though Making Bad is also in between them, and yet it brings in characters completely unrelated to the Dino Charge team-up. And this is one of those cases where it's Sentai influencing things because of the footage they had. See, one of the problems with adapting seasons out of order is that if you want to use Sentai footage for the team-ups, you're limited by what teams they did go to. Go Busters came before Kyoryuger, the Sentai Dino Charge is based on, so footage here is from their team-up. Now, take what I say here with a grain of salt, since, like a lot of Sentai information, this comes secondhand, but apparently Go Busters was not successful in Japan, so they got kind of shoved aside in their team-up with Kyoryuger, making it more a Dino Sentai reunion with Zhu Ranger and Aba Ranger instead. And hey, this stuff's expensive, so I'm not surprised they decided to adapt a team-up where they could at least fit in plenty more Sentai footage while still trying to make it special, especially with bringing back Austin St. John as Jason. And in a lot of cases, some actors don't want to come back, or there would be no reason to bring them back for what is little more than a cameo. We saw with the legendary battle how hollow and expensive it was for a bunch of actors brought around who didn't do anything. Of course, as I've said, the best team-ups are the ones that advance the characters of the previous team or have some resolution on old matters, so this team-up is just okay and fun. I suppose you could argue it's a final battle between Goldar and Jason, like they had a few times in the original Mighty Morphin, but they don't really have some big personal one-on-one fight between them or anything. But yeah, the poor Beast Morphers team barely gets to do anything with the others, which is further disappointing. Here's what I've realized about the final fourth of Beast Morphers, though, especially with the increasing amount of references to past teams, old villains, fun team-ups and cameos, and guest stars of past Rangers. It's Megaforce calling a do-over. The morphing grid is a prominent part of the series, series as opposed to never being mentioned at all. Cameos from across the franchise and referencing specific events from old shows. Being willing to show footage of the old seasons and be clever about how it's utilized. Fan service shots and characters being just as excited as the audience about seeing this fan service, like the vault full of Ranger tech. The Mighty Morphin team is given special reverence even if it's not explicitly called out for it. And even this team-up features representatives from every era of the show. Saban, Disney, Neo Saban, and Hasbro. We're not even done with those references after this. And this wasn't a big anniversary year either. Beast Morpher's second season, where all this happens, was the 27th anniversary. Not a big, round, important number like 25th or 30th or something,
30.
but they cram a lot in. It's the kind of stuff we wish we got out of Megaforce. Sure, it's by no means perfect. In fact, apparently a big complaint among fans was that the show at this point was using fan service stuff like this as a crutch, unable to do its own ideas and just constantly shoving in references to try to appease the older fan base. I disagree, though. I certainly understand the opinion. It's a big problem I have with modern Star Trek at the time of this video's release. It feels like it can't go a single episode in any of its shows without slipping in references to older, better shows while not having as much substance and meaning, not truly building off of what came before, but rather expecting fans to be pleased because, hey, we mentioned Robert April and Quark, and the original ideas they do have are dumb. But anyway, I feel the difference here is that Beast Morphers had 30 episodes before this to build its own thing, establish their own characters, see the inner workings and arcs of these people, their hopes and motivations and nuances. You could certainly argue to the quality of those elements or whether they're just rehashing ideas from other series, but they were still doing their own thing before we got a lot of references in the final part of the show, and 90% of the first 3 quarters didn't have continuity porn. Hell, the first episode's mentioning of past villains just makes sense and acknowledges villains have a habit of trying to steal this stuff, and we're trying not to have goldfish memory about it. After a few more character-based filler episodes where our Terminator Roxy and Blaze get mutated with DNA from other living things, including Roxy getting flower and dinosaur DNA inside of her, the series just loves spitting in the face of an angry god, doesn't it? The device that resurrects them is damaged beyond repair, meaning the next time they get blowed up, they're gone. The mutation gives Roxy the ability to grow giant-sized, as well as giving her talon boobs, and they finally destroy her. In the third to last episode, Crunch Time, Terminator Blaze finally impersonates the real Blaze, without giving it away right off the bat to the audience, and manipulates the team into trying to capture Evox and a new advanced Gigadrone he's built, the Omega Drone, inside of their base. The fight inside ends up severely damaging the Zord hangar, crews, and the Zords themselves. Still, Evox ends up captured in a force field. Earlier, though, Evox mentioned something interesting.
Oh, Scrozzle, I have a very dark past.
In our penultimate episode, Source Code, the Rangers try to eliminate the captured Evox. He's essentially a computer virus, so they're gonna shoot him with antivirus software bullets until he's dead. Okay, the explanation is a little better than that, but it's essentially what they're doing. However, while they're repeatedly shooting his body, his programming slips down through his foot into some cable under the cell, transferring himself into their computer systems. The Rangers have to go through every computer system to try to destroy the ones that have access to the morphing grid and the Morphex towers, because I guess Shaw ordering all the dozens of people who work there to shut them down or destroy them would just be ridiculous. After all, none of them are main characters. They chase him through the base until he reaches the vault and pulls out a certain case, the one that contains the RPM morphers. He repairs himself with the Red Ranger morpher and finally reveals his backstory. As a young child, Nate experimented with the Ranger technology given to them and tried to find a new way to morph.
Trying to power old Ranger morphers with Morphex and snake DNA.
Nate mixed Morphex
With snake
with
DNA.
old morpher technology and snake DNA.
Okay, well, sometimes science is more art than science, Morty. A lot of people don't get that.
Like, I can't be too mad because he was a child, but please, walk me through the steps here, Nate. Walk me through why this made sense to you. But yeah, Nate's experiments worked briefly on one of the RPM
Now, why
morphers.
snake?
The snake
You could
DNA
just,
becoming
like,
part
a
of its
rat or
program.
something.
I don't know how that works for a program, but whatever. And whatever was in the red morpher transferred into their systems.
You're starting to put it together.
So he was working there as a child there, and he's smart.
Best part of this reveal? Andrew Lang, the original voice actor for Venjix, was Evox's voice actor this whole time under a pseudonym, although they don't give him the same voice filter, sadly. Some say this reveal feels tacked on because it happens right at the end, and that's certainly fair, but according to Lang, this was planned from the start. And when you think about it, the MO matches. Robots, corrupting good people into his slaves, acting as a program that quickly infects other systems. His overall attitude was different than regular Venjix, but it could be argued he's been altered both from sharing a human form via Mayor Daniels, as well as the snake DNA that's somehow a part of his program now. And hey, even if this is tacked on at the end, this is still a million times more respectful a tribute to RPM than a frickin' car driving around not Corinth that the Rangers need to yell at until it stops. Told you this was do-over Megaforce. Anyway, he lay dormant in the Grid Battle Force computers until the Morphex energy was charged up and ready, so he could try to claim the morphing grid for himself. He probably wasn't able to infect defense systems computers like on the RPM Earth because of different technology, the fact that his program was diminished from having to fit in a morpher, and just trying to avoid detection. With the Venjix virus at full power again, he's able to walk through the Rangers, summon some additional Robotrons to assist, and easily escape the HQ. Nate blames himself for causing the return of Venjix, that it was just bits and pieces of him as Evox, but now he's unleashed something as devastating as that into their world.
I released Venjix into our world. Everything bad that's happened to us is my fault.
He's paralyzed with fear of making things worse. How fortunate, then, that there's someone who can relate to this problem, and dealt with the same problem.
You must be Nate. I'm Dr. K.
She convinces him to actually deal with the problem instead of sitting around feeling sorry for himself. And see, this is what I wanted. Showing off character growth. I freaking love Dr. K. The episode of RPM with her backstory might just be my favorite episode of all Power Rangers, and arguably one of, if not the darkest. So seeing her again, having overcome her own self-doubts and horror over what happened, inspiring one of the Beast Morphers cast to do the same, I love it. They start searching Venjix's source code based on what was in the RPM morpher to see if there's a weakness they can exploit. Meanwhile, Venjix plans to access the grid network connecting the Morphex towers, which will be his ticket into the morphing grid. He dispatches Terminator Blaze to go access the network, but he was really a distraction, while Scrozzle is sent with a copy of the codes to do it himself. Dr. K and Nate create an antivirus program loaded into an arrow, a thing they've done more than once on this show, and test it on Robo-Blaze, annihilating him. Dr. K heads back to Corinth and her universe to start searching for any trace of Venjix in their own systems.
You have a beautiful world. Keep it safe.
Boy, Morty, I really Cronenberged the world up, didn't I? You got a whole planet of Cronenbergs walking around down there, Morty.
Unfortunately, the episode ends with the tower network activated by Scrozzle, leading us into our finale, Evox Unleashed. As the city is evacuated, energy beams from the towers across the world converge on the one in Coral Harbor.
Evox has taken control of the Morphex tower network.
In retrospect, probably should have kept it turned off until he was gone. Our bad. After the message goes out, the reporter, Zoe's mom, begs Shaw to let Zoe go with her, thinking she's still in the laundry department.
I'm sorry, but your daughter is critical to our success. She's in laundry.
Yeah,
hey, you never know. Unconventional thinking might be needed to stop Venjix. Pouring some bleach into his face and throwing a sheet over his head might just do the trick. Actually, Shaw gives the...
I can't laugh, but this commentator, or whatever we call him, he's so funny, and my sides hurt.
Approval of Zoe to reveal herself to her mother. Heartfelt moments and all.
You're the girl who solves big problems.
Oddly, they continually refer to him as Evox, even though the reveal still happened and he's speaking in the Venjix voice. Maybe to try to make the title still make sense. Doesn't help with people referring to this as a tacked-on thing. In any case, with the information he stole from their computers, he's immune to their weapons, but Devon has a plan to counter that advantage. Venjix appears and the Rangers head out to confront him, armed with weapons from other Ranger teams, which he is completely defenseless against. He summons Robotrons to deal with the Rangers while he heads for the grid, entering the energy flow. Steel gets a hold of the discarded arrow and heads in, the Rangers following after.
We gotta go help Steel. Come on!
It was important to take off my helmet to tell you guys that! Steel enters the energy flow and stabs Venjix with it,
true, though,
but he just absorbs it. He blasts
time.
Steel back, disintegrating him. His energy gets absorbed into the grid. The team returns to base, Devon announcing to everyone how Steel sacrificed himself to...
Can we hire linkara top the fourth wall to voice over something for Power Rangers because he is so funny.
Try to stop Venjix. He recommends everyone at Grid Battle Force evacuate. Let the Power Rangers do this, but everyone there refuses to leave.
We will defeat Evox together. For Steel!
Damn right, Steel is awesome. The Morphex Tower suddenly transforms as the sky gets dark, Venjix forming into a giant robot.
Damn, we're in a tight spot.
Yeah, guys, I don't think dropping a building on him this time is going to do any good. The Rangers head out to meet him in the Ultra Zord and get knocked down almost immediately. They realize that Venjix is actually completely repelled by humanity. He failed to get into Steel's body because of the human DNA present, and being inside Mayor Daniels screwed him up something good.
If I can redirect Morphex through our bodies, our attack will be infused with human DNA.
Oh my god, are they literally going to, I am a man, punch him? And yep, the Morphex flows through them and into the Beast King X Megazord, which they use to punch him and then give every ounce of energy and Morphex they have, corrupting his systems and blowing him up.
I figured it out. We just need to hit them really, really hard.
The excess Morphex energy starts flowing into the grid, but a lot of it coalesces into Steel, not just restoring him, but making him human.
Oh?
I'm human.
And your voice isn't as good now. That's unfortunate. We cut to a year later.
I was gonna say, why is he young? Because the voice was like, ooh, and now he's like, right?
Scrozzle is captured by Colonel Truman.
Okay.
Apparently, Scrozzle...
We're gonna end here. We still have a couple of minutes, but we're gonna end sadly because my time, right? I have to go hurt myself again at the gym, my buddy. But anyways, that was so much fun and packed with like it's like a summary of the whole era, just in one, which this channel does a great job of doing. So I really like whenever we do react to him, there's a sense of humor and also there's a lot of information. I feel like he does a better job than the actual show. Sadly. Thank you guys, and if you like the video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow for the last part.